Sam Altman's been around for a decade plus, and he's wormed in with the media and he's wormed in with everyone. He's a good carnival barker. On top of that, this desperation time in tech meant that when ChatGPT came around, everyone went, finally, something. We don't make things here. What, we have engineers? No, we're only here to screw customers. That guy invented something. Let's do this. Why does Sam Altman get to fart out whatever he's like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. It's like, what is the best thing ever, Sammy? There is no industry here. This is a PR campaign for one guy and one company. Except this company is it's a time bomb. We have this software today and you can barely get like a picture of Garfield with boobs successfully.
Hell yes.
It's just so frustrating because this is what happens when an entirely narrative-based thing takes a market. I would need it to work. I would need to say to Siri, I need you to order dinner for me. I'm feeling like Chinese. I want to spend no more than $35 and I want it quicker than 20 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
It'd be
Did
like
you say
setting a reminder to kick your dog.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. We got a really great episode for you today. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Ben. With me, as always, is my co-pilot, Emil. We do a weekly...
I wish I didn't do this.
No, it's okay.
I
That's
don't know
okay.
why I did that. I'm not a this kind of guy.
We are the greatest show out there, and you really should. I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Our guest today is Ed Zitron, and we're going to be talking all about the AI bubble that he believes is imminently about to pop. And we're not going to talk much longer, but if you want to support the show, if you want to check out hundreds of hours of bonus content, head over to benandemilshow.com. We got a lot of great stuff on there.
We're offering a free month right now to all new signups. So
We're free month, he said. Yeah.
So
he always does that. But yeah, go sign up.
If you like what you see, there's a bunch more fun stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of our most fun zany moments are back there.
Get us up to 100,000 subscribers, and we're gonna release a semi-nude calendar, and it's gonna be great. Everybody's talking about it. They can't wait to get it. And also, everybody at the higher tier, we're gonna be doing our Q&A that we're going to be recording next week. So we're going to drop the phone number on the website for you to call and leave your questions in the form of a voicemail that we will play next week. So without further ado, here's the episode. Wow. Hey, folks. Welcome back to another exciting... This is going to be a very fun episode. It's the Ben and Emil Show. With you, as always, is me, Ben. That's Emil. And we've got a very special guest for you. His name is...
Very special guest. You've probably seen some of his work on this show, actually. He runs Where's Your Ed At? Better Offline. Yep. And I think... You have a book coming out next year? Please remind me of the title.
Why Everything Stopped Working.
Why Everything Stopped Working. We have Ed Zitron with us, which is going to be great. He's going to tell us all about what's really going on in the AI space.
Yeah. And spoiler, it's all good stuff. All AI great. Is here to revolutionize everything.
We're about to have artificial general intelligence.
Yeah, baby.
Right up our ass.
Well, according to some people, that sounds like that could be the case.
Yeah, if you're a big fucking idiot. You're a big stupid man. It's past a minute. I can swear.
Oh, you know the rules.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
So I think the best thing to do is to maybe get you to kind of lay out your thesis around the AI bubble, because I think you've probably laid out the best case. You're also one of the most vocal, not supporters,
haters,
critics of the AI thing. Also, kind of a I don't know what the word is, but like a rational voice for me. Sometimes I think it's hard to not get wrapped up in even I'm a pretty skeptical guy, but sometimes you just come across so much hype and you just can't help but be like, oh, well, I must be an idiot. I'm missing this. These guys know what they're talking about. It is right around the corner. I better just get ready.
And it's the wave of constant hype as well. So you have to, you're kind of like, can this many people be wrong? And the answer is yes. So long and short of it is, you see ChatGPT, for example. OpenAI as a company, they spent $9 billion last year to lose $5 billion. No one is making any money on this. Every single one of these companies is unprofitable. The transformer-based models are unprofitable. They cost insane amounts of money to run. They don't really have outcomes. Like, there are cool things you can do with ChatGPT. You can summarize documents. You can ask it really weird questions and it'll kind of get them right. But it'll also hallucinate in a way that makes it kind of by default not great for financial services, makes it pretty bad for anything that you need to rely on, such as information. And on top of all of this, requires a bunch of stealing to train these models. You have to steal from everyone. And then costs the world to run, requires these distinct GPUs, graphics processing units from NVIDIA. And then you need a big bastard of a server to run them in, big data centers worth. All of this stuff costs a bunch of money. And then on top of all of it, like I kind of said, no one makes any cash. No one's making money off of this. There's no real profit. And everyone is selling the AI bubble based off of things that it does not do. Generative AI does not do this. And we've been seeing the same shit for a year, 2 years now. It's the same product.
Right. From my perspective, I was just talking about this last week where it seems like there have been two things that it kind of can do. It's like change the way we think of search models.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's changed search engines for sure. And it's kind of coders seem to like it. It seems to be helpful for coders. Outside of that, and even the search engine thing is like a kind of frustrating thing. It seemed like we had something that worked pretty well for us, and now they're like, we're going to do it like this now, and you're not going to be able to trust any of the information you have.
Yeah.
I get shocked. I've messed around with ChatGPT. I bought a subscription when it was first becoming a thing because I wanted to be kind of I wanted to stay.
I pay for ChatGPT Plus because how would I test the thing that I'm attacking?
And then I've used things like Perplexity and Claude and these other things. I like seeing what they can do. They mostly just disappoint me though.
Yes.
Especially when I hear people talking about them. I go, that has not been my experience. It's been very hard to get it to do the things I want to do.
What do you want it to do?
I want it to be able to be very specific about research. I want it to be able to like pinpoint things for me and find it, especially as it's hoovered up all this data, but cannot bring it to me. And I'll ask it because everyone talks about, as you pointed to, summarizing documents or whatever. Like anything larger than a short internet article, I'll say, give me a very detailed explanation of this or summarization of this.
I can't read. I need you to read it.
And it won't. It's not that detailed.
Yeah,
it's very rudimentary.
It's surface
and
level.
I'll say get more detailed, and it really doesn't. And I'm like, this is horrible. Why can it not pull the important?
Because that's all that this is. It's all it is. And even they released deep research. OpenAI's deep research.
Yes, people they're saying that it's like creating like
shit.
Scientific documents.
Yeah,
for
it isn't. So deep research is great because what if, imagine this, you could get 5,000 kind of gobbledygook adjacent words, which also had citations of like Reddit posts and web forums. That's what I call science. That's what I'm looking for in a like a financial report, is a bunch of Reddit posts and fucking hacker news. And I sound like I'm being sarcastic, but this is literally the example that AI booster Casey Newton of Platformer used. This is his best shot. This is their best shot. It's been 2 years. Where's the money? Where's the product?
Right. And so your point is that like they've been able to get pretty close. Right?
No. Close to what?
Like they've been able to create these LLMs that people can use. You can use ChatGPT.
Yes, but close to what though?
Close to a system that can spit out somewhat reliable information, but they're never going to get to a point where this thing is right more like as often as it needs to be. No,
that's mathematically impossible.
Right. And they say, please just give us more data, bro, and we'll be able to do it.
But it's the limitations of a probabilistic model. It's a model that is based on probability. It's pretty good at it, but it is still probability. It does not know anything. This is not even intelligence. We do not understand how intelligence even works in human beings, let alone in models. And on top of this, the thing they're selling it as is some approximation to an autonomous AI that can do all these things. It's never been close. Not even close. We have a slightly sexier version of search, which is only broken because Google did that deliberately to juice profits. And now they have made the least profitable software of all time. It just burns capital. And they put hundreds of billions of capex into building these big data centers. For what? Really, for what? people, one of the things that really pisses me off, well, okay, there's many of those, is I get people contacting me going like, what would it take to convince you that AI was real, that this was the, and I'm just like, why the fuck do I have to do this but not OpenAI? Why does Sam Altman get to fart out whatever he's like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. It's like, what is the best thing ever, Sammy?
Right.
Scam artist. It frustrates me because none of this makes money. None of this really does anything. There's not really business returns. September last year, the information reported that only like 1% of Microsoft 365 enterprise customers had paid for Copilot, which is $30 a head. Really expensive. And what does it do? Summarizes documents, generates things. It's always the same shit. None of these companies have found a way to monetize them. None of these companies seem to be able to make any profit. There are no profitable AI companies other than Turing, which is a software consultancy company that helps them find human beings to train the models. If you look at the fundamentals of these companies, they're bad. They are all bad. Anthropic, they made about $900 million last year. They lost $5.6 billion.
Jesus.
And every single one of them, like this, it's dogs everywhere.
And you compared it, I believe it was you, compared it to the likes of Uber, which... No, in the sense that they, at the time, it was like, holy shit, they're losing so much money, but at least they had an actual business that you could use that was something that had actual utility.
People used.
Yeah, and they get to it. They now are at a point where they are cash flow positive, and they weren't even losing as much money as this.
And even then with Uber, Uber's biggest loss, I believe, was $6.2 billion in 2020, which was COVID. And on top of that, Uber is just not functionally even similar to OpenAI.
Sure.
It would be like if every ride cost the customer $5, but cost Uber $50,000. And it sounds like I'm being dramatic, but OpenAI is on course to lose like 12 billion this year. And they play all sorts of accounting wank where they're like, oh, we don't count this bit, which is like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's insane. I feel like I'm going crazy when I read this stuff because, to your point, everyone's saying AI's here, AI's here, and you're like, where? And they go, well, there was Matthew McConaughey commercial that has AI in it,
Right?
And also that commercial is bonkers.
The one where he's in the rain.
That one's insane.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the Super Bowl one.
Yeah,
the Super Bowl one.
Which one's the one where he's like, it's like, don't be like that guy. He didn't book with like an AI chatbot.
That's
whatever.
all of them.
Okay, yeah,
it's insane. No, the Super Bowl one is Matthew McConaughey's running through an airport, Heathrow Airport, allegedly, even though obviously I'm British and I've been to Heathrow and it's like, this is not. And also, he's like running around the airport being like, my travel agent didn't use a futuristic AI from Salesforce. And it's like, first of all, Agentforce is not a customer-facing product. Second of all, it's a chatbot, and the things he describes it doing are not things that chatbots do. And he's like going to miss his flight because an agent didn't tell him that he was going to miss it. It breaks down. And this is one of the largest companies hawking this bullshit during the Super Bowl. It just feels insane. It feels crazier than anything I've ever seen in my career.
Real fast, going back to what you were saying about the limits of it, I am a bit of an idiot, and I don't fully understand. Is it because the way that it functions, it's going up against the data limits, and there's a function of how it needs more data. It's ultimately it doesn't know anything. It's just you're
not too far off.
'Kay.
So the way these models work, and I'm going to really truncate this a bit, is that you train them by throwing training data at it and then kind of reinforcing things, saying this is a good answer, this is a bad answer.
Mm-hmm.
Training these things costs millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, the limitations are, first of all, they're running out of training data.
Right.
And that's the only way to make them better. Also, making them better very rarely, and it doesn't appear to for some time, have actually made them do more stuff. They're just like, they will pass more benchmarks that they rig. But fundamentally, what we were saying was sound, which was when you train these models, they are still drawing on a corpus of data. And there's a whole thing around training data and tokens and such. But nevertheless, they are still drawing from what they have in the training data and generating an answer as a result. That answer is not like they look at the training data and go, oh, a cat is a cat. No, They say, someone has just typed in, do this. It's most likely they mean this thing, which is cat.
Mm-hmm.
And they said orange cat. I don't know what orange is, but orange might be based on these things. It's why in the images you'll see them have like 11 fingers. because they don't really have an idea of what a human is. They have the most likely image of a human. They're getting slightly better on that. Now, the problem is with this is multifaceted, but long short of it is they don't really know anything. You've not taught them anything. You have taught them how to answer a thing more likely.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, that's all they'll ever do. All they will ever do is guess. All they ever do will roll a bazillion dice to
So
come
it's
up with an
not like
answer.
You can keep feeding it as much data as you want, but you can't teach it to think for itself.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
What they ultimately need it to do to lead to this AI promised land that they're.
And even
calling
if we
for.
could do that, and we can't, we do not have enough training data. To train the next models, they need like 4 times the available data. And the current available data is the entirety of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So they've run out. Even if they hadn't, there is no proof, none, that having enough data would fix this. Because what? They're just going to keep training it until the math gets better and then it wakes up? It
Right.
becomes sentient? What the hell are you talking about? It's nonsense. But they're already running up against diminishing returns with training data. There's a big story towards the end of the year about how all of them are running into the same problem. And because the tech industry is completely bereft of any creativity or real innovation anymore, everyone's doing the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. So all of them they have very similar models that all pass benchmarks in varying ways, do mostly the same thing.
Right.
And the same thing is not profitable and it's not that useful.
Hey, gang, it's time to take a quick little break to talk a little bit about your stupid, fat, bulky wallet. It's ugly and it's stupid, and you should probably do something about it. What are you, 50? What are you, over 50? You know, my dad used to carry around a wad, not even kidding, about this thick. And it was just loaded with receipts, credit cards,
Business cards that you're never going to use.
his license that you need, cash. Pathetic, I would always say. We would make fun of him for it because it's such a geriatric old man, pathetic thing to do.
I
But
was stuck in that mindset too. I was carrying around my old geriatric wallet, my bifold, and I said, "It's time to freaking upgrade."
yeah, so that's why we're using the Ridge. It's this for the audio listener. God, I wish you could see it. It's
I do wish you could see it. 'Cause
so
it's
thin.
gorgeous.
It's about a quarter of an inch. Is that a quarter of an inch? I think it's about a quarter of an inch wide. And baby, this thing is sleek. It's got a little money clip thing for your dollar bills right
Cash
there that it latches
moolah.
onto. It opens just like this. A nice little opening to put all your cards in it. I took mine out for this demonstration because I don't need any of you freaks screenshotting this.
No, that's the
and
last thing we need.
Finding out where I live or what my credit card numbers are. And they also got a handy little cool keychain that I also didn't have my keys on just yet because I don't need you guys screenshotting it, and knowing you'll be able to like 3D print it or something. But all around, man, sleek packaging, very cool, very neat stuff. They've got over 50 colors and styles. So the Ridge wallet isn't just functional, it's personal. Whether you want sleek black forged carbon fiber like I chose, or a wallet that features your favorite NFL team, or one that just matches your vibe.
My favorite thing about the Ridge wallets is they're extremely thin, yet they can securely hold up to 12 cards plus cash without adding unnecessary bulk. That's huge for me. I hate having
You
a
love
big,
having a
bulky
lot
wallet.
of cards.
I do. The cards add up. You got to bring all these different cards with you, IDs, whatever. The materials it's made from are so high quality. It's built to last. One of the best things, though, every Ridge wallet comes with RFID blocking technology to protect you from digital pickpockets. All right,
man.
Go out safe, knowing your wallet is protecting you when you're out in the world. All right, scammers can now scan your pockets and steal your credit card info wirelessly.
Yeah,
but Ridge
not
has
with
you
this,
covered.
baby. You can
okay?
feel it. It's so thick. It's
Is
a
your
thickums.
wallet RFID blocking? Huh?
RFID?
RFID blocking?
Probably not.
Probably
It's
not.
probably leather or something, or probably held together with string.
One of the best parts? Raise your hand right now if you've ever lost your wallet. Okay, fine. I did it.
You did?
Yep.
That's stupid of you.
The best part, though, the Ridge wallet comes with the Ridge AirTag attachment. Okay? You'll always know exactly where your wallet is before panic mode kicks in.
That's right, Emil. And Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create premium everyday carry essentials like the key cases I showed you, suitcases, and rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, so you got nothing to lose, and a lifetime warranty on all products. Right now, Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/bays. Just head to ridge.com/BAES to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Can I try to sum up what I believe your position to be,
Sure.
which I believe I agree with? It's that while there are some good practical use cases for these AI models, it's the fact that they aren't profitable, like you said. They are massive resource and capital suckers, and that's pretty much it. It's that they're not going to get to this point where they're going to be printing money for these big tech companies who've already thrown away so much money. They're not going to be like fundamentally life-changing for everyday people, aside from their utilities in maybe drug discovery and things like that, right?
Even then, it's a lot of the stories, and this is one of the more noxious things. You'll see stories about like, oh, they discovered drugs, and you'll look and it'll be like, it's not actually large language models. Like it'll be something else. They'll just like plug AI into it. There's another thing as well, which is now large language models is an idea. There's nothing wrong with them. If they'd been called like library models, this would be a $10 billion industry. It would be sold by like Microsoft on a page you have to click a few times to get to. It would be a small but useful industry. But there's also a good chance that in a few years we have large language models that just run on a device. Now you may think, surely that's good for OpenAI. No, it's not. They're all every single model is kind of similar. And so what? And then you strip away all the unprofitability and the stealing and the environmental stuff, and you go, right, now what does it do? And it doesn't do very much. There are some cool things you can do with search with it, but it's always you get these stories where it's like AI is going to change everything, but when you get to the truth, it's you could do some cool shit, I guess.
Like it summarizes my texts,
and even then, it doesn't do it very well.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I see the summary. Now I don't have to open it right away, but then I'll open it later and be like, oh, that's the extent of my AI usage in the Google search.
My one thing I found ChatGPT useful for is reading this S1 that I've been burying my head in.
Yes, tell us about that.
Cool, we will get to that, and that's a whole separate thing. But giving it like a block of text and saying, explain this in plain English, and then having to go and line by line verify that information myself, having a little bit more knowledge. It's just like, and when you get down to it, wow, that was kind of useful. Okay, is this worth $1 trillion? Is this $1 trillion? No, it's not. It never was. It never has been.
So what do you say to the people who would assert that we're just kind of in the first innings of these things, akin to the internet 20, 25 years ago?
Jim Cavallo from Goldman Sachs fielded this one very well.
Yes.
In a Gen
I remember
AI.
Yes, we talked about
not enough return, too much spend, not enough return, I think it was called. Point he made was that when you looked at the original internet boom, they did use expensive Sun Microsystems servers, 64 grand, I think. You didn't use that many of them.
Yeah.
On top of that, he makes a really good point about like smartphones. He said, people compare this to smartphones. They say, oh, people didn't believe smartphones would be a big thing. And he's just like, false. Jim Cavallo, head of equities research, I think at Goldman, old school semiconductors guy. These people do not mess around. They don't play fun games. He called Intel very early. Anyway, his point was that you could see, he was in meetings in 2000 saying, like he said thousands of presentations, which might be a little much, with people saying, okay, when GPS modules or radars, whatever, get small enough, we will get devices that have GPS in them. When cell phone radios get smaller, we'll eventually have computers. When we have microchips, okay, there was a defined roadmap. No such one exists for AI. On top of that, it's the early days. Okay, but even in the early days of the internet, you could draw a line from where it was to where it would be. The early days of e-commerce was poorly run companies, but you could see the idea of buying stuff online made sense.
Yeah.
What's the thing that makes sense with ChatGPT?
Yeah, like Jim Cavallo said, what $1 trillion problems does it solve?
Exactly.
Yeah, it feels the cell phone thing is very funny, or the smartphone thing is very funny. We had someone on our show recently who was much more optimistic about AI and brought that up. He's older than us too, and he kind of gave us a maybe you guys might not remember what a big deal, like what it was like when the iPhone came out. And I remember being like, I was fucking like 17. I fully remember it. And it was like a massive deal. And everyone saw the utility immediately.
I love this point because I bought an iPhone on the launch day.
It was...
No, I can tell you the literal experience. Every single person I showed went, holy shit.
Yeah.
Old, young. I was in college in Penn State at the time. I think I picked up my iPhone in State College. Crazy. Every single person who saw the voicemail was like, holy shit. No one was like, I don't get it. Every single person who saw it was like, damn, that's so expensive. Like they were just like,
and the difference was they did their keynote and they went, here it is. We made this thing. You can pre-order it now. And everyone went, that's incredible. I can pre-order it. I'll have it in a few months. The difference is now these tech companies do these keynotes and they go, we hope we can do this someday.
Yeah.
And you go, well, what the fuck?
Google
like
I.O.
OpenAI does it all the time. They're like, they do a cool little demo and then they go, I don't know. You might be able to do that soon.
OpenAI is pretty honest. What they do, they're honest in the sense that they show you some stuff it might do, but then you look and it's like, did they cut this weirdly? And then you look.
Yeah.
The one that really did that was so horrible was Google. Google I.O. last year, Sundar Pichai gets up on stage. He does this whole song and dance about
generative AI.
Agents. Agents are going to change everything. We'll get to agents in a minute. And he talks about agents. He's like, oh, you'd be able to just click a few things in your email and do a full return for your shoes. And he goes, and this is a theoretical idea. The fucking nerve. How dare you? You make $200 million a year. Give me it. Give me your money and do a real job, you loser.
Right.
Isn't he kind of
McKinsey
pissed
bitch.
isn't he kind of pissed at OpenAI now too? Didn't he kind of? Oh wait,
Everyone's
no, sorry.
pissed
I'm
at
sorry.
OpenAI.
I'm confusing him with Sundar Pichai.
Satya Nadella, I assume.
Fuck. Or yeah, Satya Nadella. Fuck.
It's just one of the interchangeable MBAs that runs one of these
Right.
companies.
Yeah,
They all
okay.
have MBAs. Sundar, the way to tell you is he's McKinsey. He was a former McKinsey guy. Satya Nadella's just a regular MBA
Yeah.
and a fucking product manager.
Yeah.
Wait, so can we talk?
Wait. Where does your disdain for? Did you? What's your background, by the way?
Oh, I'm a mess.
Yeah.
Well, we know that now. I was a video games journalist,
Ooh.
PC games journalist as well. Then I moved into PR in 2008 when I moved to America. Stayed in PR, started doing the newsletter on the side because I was depressed, and did the newsletter. Took it from 300 subscribers to 57,700 today.
Oh boy.
Wow.
And then they recruited me for the podcast Better Offline end of 2023. Yes,
Wow.
that's right.
Which is now like one of the top tech
Yeah,
podcasts.
it's getting there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
We're trying to get there too.
Yeah.
We have tens of listeners. It's really
Hell
great.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
You got more
Yeah.
reviews than I've got.
Yeah, we've
And your
got-
reviews are more positive than
Wow,
mine.
guys.
He's joking. We've got. a
I'm
nice-
not. You have like 900. I have about 300, 400. Yeah, I look at the metrics.
Wait, so you just missed Gamergate then? You just
Fucking Christ, I did.
Yeah.
That would have been. If anyone was getting killed, it was me.
what was obnoxious? What's obnoxious for me is seeing. I'm sure you know the name Mike Cernovich,
Mhm.
but watching that guy ascend to where he is has just been mind numbing. I fucking can't stand that
yeah,
guy.
it's genuinely depressing
Yeah.
to watch.
No, I know.
It
It's terrifying
It
too.
fucking sucks.
Yeah. And seeing his power and influence just grow and grow and grow, and the confidence with which he talks about just all the bullshit he espouses on a daily. I mean, joke's on me because he has no idea who I am. But
Yeah.
you know,
That's for the best.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Wait, so before we move on to anything else, I just want to, before we move on, I just want to kind of wrap up with this part about this thesis. I'm very curious about where you see all this shaking out.
Like the bubble popping.
Yes, because I'm having trouble kind of seeing anything outside of like two things happening. Like either they're right, all these guys we've said are, very smart, these tech guys, they're right, and AGI's around the corner, and the world is like about to change in a way we can't even fathom, or they are wrong, but we still get this like horrible AI rammed down our throats and like implemented in everything, and things just work shittier because they've invested too much into it, and we just like we just now need to live with
Yeah,
this
is it a
new
sunken
future.
cost fallacy we're witnessing unfold?
But how do
So-
you see it shaking out?
Yeah.
I will start by saying it's not really possible to say this is the bubble popping.
Mhm.
That's the one thing that people can't really define. Similarly, people can't define success either. There is no success. Like there really is. The second thing, the best they can hope for is the thing you just said about
Yeah.
how they just shove it down our throats. However, these companies are slaves to the markets. The markets are the reason that they've been doing this, and the markets will be the reason that they stop.
Hmm.
So I, again, don't know how long this will take. I don't know exactly the world of events that happens. But right now, seeing the markets as something that is logical is a mistake. Or at least fully logical. Because right now, if there was a logical thing, they'd go, hey, why are none of you companies saying how much money you make from this? Microsoft said they make $12 billion ARR. on AI. Now, if you look real close at that, what that actually means is that's annualized return, meaning that they did 12x what they're currently making, which is fucking insane to publish, by the way, because that means that they're making like $3-4 billion a quarter revenue, not profit.
Right.
And that's the only one of these assholes that will actually talk about the money. So if the markets were logical, they'd be like, what is going on with you freaks? What do you mean? What do you mean you can't tell? How much are you making? Show me the money now.
Yeah.
Show me money now. But
All right, everybody. We're going to take one quick final break to round this thing out. And if you notice that I got a little bit of a spring in my step, it's because I got that Mudwater flowing through my veins, baby. You know, I always used to struggle with that afternoon brain fog
Me too.
and whatnot, but not anymore. Because I get a little bit of that Mudwater. It tastes so good. Mix it around with the frother that it comes with. So cool. So cool. You just be going like that. And, you know, I got to say, it's March. All right. We got spring right around the corner.
We just hit daylight savings time.
The rodent saw his shadow and he's like, 6 more weeks. We're not quite there. But it's the perfect time to refresh your routine. Maybe you're thinking about shaking off the winter blues, focusing on your wellness or whatever the heck you want to do. But it's time for something better than coffee, all right? And that's why we got Mudwater. So every single ingredient in Mudwater's products are 100% USDA certified, organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher. There's also 0 sugar and no sweeteners added.
Best part about it, each ingredient in Mudwater serves a purpose. With organic ingredients for a clean, natural boost. Mudwater's smooth, earthy flavors provide a delicious and natural source of energy, even for a guy like me who doesn't mess with coffee because it makes him all weird.
Yeah.
The OG blend contains cacao and chai for a hint of caffeine
chai.
and a hot chocolate-like flavor. Lion's mane for focus.
Focus.
Cordyceps to promote natural energy, and both chaga and reishi to support a healthy immune system.
Does your 3 p.m. cup of coffee make you stay awake at night, contemplating life choices and the meaning of existence? I know mine sure does, but not with Mudwater. Let's not do that again. Switching to Mudwater can help you say goodbye to sleepless nights. It's got all the energy without the late-night existential crises. To use Mudwater, you simply drop the powder in your favorite mug, pour some water on it, and give it a mix. Some go wild and add cream or honey or even CBD. There's also caffeine-free blends available. The best part about Mudwater is it provides sustained energy without the spikes and crash of traditional coffee.
Ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal. Hold on to your seats for this one. Up to 43% off your entire order. Plus,
Oh my God.
free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code BAYS. That's right. Up to 43% off with code BAYS at mudwtr.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you how you found them. Please show your support and let them know we sent you. Keep your energy natural and refreshing all year long with Mudwater, because life's too short for anything less than clean, delicious energy.
Keep your energied up. Guys, we got to keep our energied up.
But right now, I believe we're in the throes of what might start popping stuff. And I know I'm being vague, but it's like, nothing's ever this simple. It's not like one event happens and then everything stops.
Yeah.
Right now, we're in this situation where you've got OpenAI running out of money, Anthropic running out of money. Anthropic just raised $3 billion at a $61 billion valuation. Are you fucking kidding me? OpenAI is right now raising a $40 billion round raised by SoftBank. Now, SoftBank of WeWork and Wirecard fame.
Yep.
Right.
Now, let me tell you how insane this is. SoftBank is doing $30 billion of this $40 billion round. They're doing a syndicate for the next $10 billion, meaning like whoever will join into the party. Now, you may think, well, SoftBank's big, right? They've got enough money. What if I told you they didn't? They're taking out a $16 billion loan to cover this. Now, you may think that's lower than $30 billion, and you'd be completely right. I don't know how this works. They've also committed $18 billion to the Stargate project, the data center project out in Abilene, Texas. Well, that's the first one.
$500 billion.
Up to $100 billion right now. Literally one data center is planned. When you get to the fundamentals, things are very shaky. But then it gets worse. So SoftBank, why do they have to take out $16 billion for they owe like $46 billion. They also committed $3 billion a year in revenue to OpenAI. The math It's not mathing. But I think that they close this round and then OpenAI becomes fat and happy. The thing that kills people, regular people, companies, isn't spending a lot of money. It's the rate at which they spend it. OpenAI, once they get on the SoftBank teat, aren't going to stop. They're not pulling back expenses. If this company needs $40 billion a year, no one has enough. Anyone says while you're listening to this, what about a government bail? Go outside. Go outside, turn the podcast off. You're too silly. The government's not going to bail them out. Why would they bail them out? But on top of this, SoftBank doesn't have enough money to give OpenAI. They could sell their ARM holdings, I guess. And wait, what about over here? You've got the Stargate project. Well, that's good, right? They're going to build some data centers. They take 3 to 6 years to build. They're not going to fucking build those quickly. Also, Microsoft has been canceling data center projects.
Right.
TD Cowen, analyst, came out and they said, and everyone misread this, they said they've canceled 2 data centers of, I think it was like a couple hundred megawatts.
Didn't Microsoft come out and refute that?
Microsoft did not.
Oh.
Microsoft came out and said, we still intend to spend this much money and we may make some adjustments to infrastructure. Yeah. But worse still, this report said, a couple hundred megawatts off, which is not brilliant. 2 data centers. It also said that they'd walked away from a gigawatt of letters of intent. A gigawatt is like a seventh of their capacity is like 7.5 gigawatts at most right now. Gigawatts is just the power of the data center. It's stupid, but Microsoft is walking away from their commits to data centers, just as OpenAI is trying, like they're growing even more.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't math, as you would say.
It does not math. But on top of that, Microsoft is the largest owner of NVIDIA GPUs.
Yeah.
The largest purchaser. Why is the largest purchaser of the things behind generative AI walking away from building out generative AI? Does that not sound kind of fucking strange?
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, what I imagine the thing that's going to start to deflate the bubble, if not pop it, would be, and this is not an original thought because they are the bellwether, but NVIDIA earnings. I mean, once you start to see a slowdown in that, I think that the air will just start.
I agree.
Yeah.
NVIDIA's been tumbling. I don't know why this is not.
They lost $1 trillion in market cap since their
They're lower
all-time
than
high.
they were with DeepSeek today.
Yeah.
I realized this would go out after it. But on top of all this, Microsoft is generative AI.
Yeah.
They are the company. They funded OpenAI. The reason that Microsoft has such big data centers is because OpenAI needs to make the biggest, hugest models.
Do you think DeepSeek has anything to do with kind of some of this pullback where
That's what people want to believe.
People are seeing like, oh, maybe we don't need as much compute power. We don't need as
that's a big
as much
part
resources.
of it. But people are saying, well, what if Microsoft? I put out this newsletter about this. I'm going to record a podcast probably tomorrow about the whole Microsoft data center pullback. People saying, what if Microsoft has a big secret efficiency thing they haven't told anyone about? It's like, why is it always some secret fucking magic sauce with you
Right.
people? What if instead of it's the thing in front of you, it's a thing that's secret? It's a wizard. Microsoft has a grand vizier. Microsoft has a series of mages.
Do you remember the Yahoo guy with the
Shingy?
What was his name?
AOL. Shingy, David Shing.
Yeah, and what
He's
was
going to
his?
be a guest on my show. He's
Shit. What
digital
was his
prophet.
title? The
Digital-
Digital Prophet.
Yeah,
That's
I have
right.
Shingy coming on Better Offline.
Holy shit! What does he do now?
I have no fucking idea. I'm going to find out.
Do you remember this guy, the Digital
Shingy.
Prophet? But, Jim, can you
He
pull
looks-
up Yahoo Digital Prophet?
I like David Shing. He looks like something that you would
PH.
tell a German child about before bed to make sure that they aren't a bad child.
Yeah.
he looks-
Also known as Shingy.
Shingy.
Yeah.
Look
Absolute
at him.
legend.
Oh God, what a time that
What a
was!
beautiful-
What is this? Circa 2012? Is that when they had?
Yeah,
Because it was when what's her name was the CEO.
Marissa Mayer?
Yeah.
No, AOL. Sorry, Marissa Mayer wasn't at AOL. This
No,
was
yeah, she was Yahoo,
it was
right?
Yahoo. Yeah, but he was at AOL. This is before.
Oh,
AOL.
he was at AOL. Ah.
Anyway,
Good times.
where were we? Majors. So the thing is, DeepSeek did play into this in that DeepSeek kind of proved that you could make models that were more efficient. The one thing no one has come up with, and I've really been looking, is DeepSeek profitable to use? I can't find any information to suggest that it is. It may be that even the super cheap model is still unprofitable, which is so fucking funny. Also, the information reported, I think today actually, that Microsoft is trying other models to replace OpenAI with. Microsoft is AI. This entire thing, every bit of it, is Microsoft. It is Microsoft's hand up different assholes. And I think when people finally realize that, this whole thing fucking starts unwinding. But on top of that, how the hell does this continue? How the hell does Anthropic and OpenAI keep raising, in OpenAI's case, $40 billion a year? And I've had people say the Uber argument, it's kind of gone away now that they're raising $40 billion. Now it's just taking the piss. But this company, OpenAI, they're not going to be profitable ever. They're claiming by 2030. But how the hell do they make it there? And if OpenAI dies, this is all narrative driven. It's not business return driven. It's not output driven. It's not magic driven. There's no experience like using an iPhone that you will ever get with OpenAI or anything with ChatGPT. And
it's kind of just like, oh, this is cool.
And
And
then
then
you clearly haven't used their new agent to.
oh, you mean operator?
Yeah.
Well, to sometimes search TripAdvisor correctly? Jesus Christ.
I mean, they tout 300 million weekly users,
Ah,
but are they able to, hey, where's the profit?
that's a good question. And actually, here's a fun story about that. So it's 400 million now. And weekly user is a very strange statistic
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. Number one, a weekly user is anyone who uses it once within a 7-day period, which is still 400 million. It's pretty good. They lose money on every single free user. Every single one loses money. Every single one. They operate in they're antithetical to regular software. And usually software, as it scales, gets cheaper. Theirs gets more expensive. It's insane. But on top of that, they're a monthly revenue business. OpenAI, the majority of their revenue, over 70% of it, comes from subscriptions to their premium products, ChatGPT Plus and Pro, and then there's like Edu and government. To be clear, they still lose money on their $200 a month one, which is so fun. They're so bad at business. So, but here's the thing. In a regular software as a service business, you look at any public company or private company with a software business, you wouldn't do monthly active users if you're selling a monthly product. Sorry, you would do that. You would explain that. And indeed, monthly active users would be higher. So I estimated in one of my pieces, I used data from SimilarWeb, which is a web analytics company, and Sensor Tower, which does the monthly active users for apps. I estimate they have about 500, 600 million monthly active users. Now, the reason they probably don't want to put that out there is when you divide their 15.5 million users against that 600 million, that's a piss poor conversion rate. They're not a good company. They're bad at this.
Right. You're saying so they have a lot of people in there, but a lot of people are not engaging with this.
And then
the rate.
they're barely engaging. They're losing the money. Even the people that pay them lose the money. But even if they didn't, it's still a pathetically small amount. And then you have another problem, which is on top of all this stuff, not making money and all this, well, you'd think in an industry that exists, you'd have, I don't know, competitors. And these competitors would have a ton of traffic. Right? Wrong. Anthropic, their website, Claude, whatever the Claude website is, this is in the newsletter. 8 million unique monthly visitors, 2 million monthly active users in January. That's fucking nothing.
Right.
Copilot, I think they had 11 million monthly active users on their app. Google Gemini, 18 million. These are bullshit numbers. This is not a real industry. These are not. This is not indicative of anything other than the fact that generative AI has been a successful PR campaign for one company, OpenAI.
Where do you trace it back to? Does it all go back to Sam Altman just being one of the best bullshitters of all time then?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's a mixture. So what it is I believe I have this theory called the rock-con bubble, which is we're at the end of the hyper-growth period for tech. Tech's insane valuations will be based on one fairly simple thing, which is these companies will grow forever and they'll always grow. And software can proliferate and deliver value to shareholders in a way that physical stuff cannot.
And they're going to keep giving us new and cool.
Exactly. And you find new
Right.
shit to sell. Here's the thing. Tech is out of hypergrowth. They don't have anything else. They haven't for years. People are going to say, what about crypto? Crypto wasn't like this. Metaverse wasn't like this. It was just like those were, people like to mention them and it's a bullshit thing, but they are minute, even with the 45 billion that Meta burned on the metaverse compared to this. This is egregious. What we are seeing is a corporate desperation and the death of innovation, really. And I know it sounds very dramatic, but what else have they got? Delete AI right now. What else do they have to show growth?
I mean, just look at your iPhone. I mean,
it's the same shit. Apple Intelligence is one of the most egregiously awful products ever released.
What about Genmoji? You can turn. Well, listen, hang on. You can imagine a rainbow ice. What do you call it? Ice cream pop, right? And what if you wanted to mix it? I don't know, with a parrot. There's an entire billboard.
Kill myself.
It just says, there's exactly that. It just says, imagine it, Genmoji. I'm sure you've seen it. But I actually
Wow.
speaking of the iPhone, I believe there's a Steve Jobs quote about how, I'm gonna butcher this, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but it's like tech companies reach a certain point where they no longer innovate and the bean counters take over. And that's kind of what we're experiencing
I
now
need to find
across
this
the
quote.
board.
That's wonderful. I'm gonna
Yeah.
need to memorize that and say it to people like I
Yeah.
found it.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
that's true, because it's the
But
it's you have to keep the market happy. But you have to Nvidia has to show, not only are we meeting our forecasts, but we're beating them every single fucking quarter.
Nvidia's even more fucked up, which I'll get to in a second. But note that Google, Apple, Apple's actually had a few innovations. The M series process chips are fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
They really are.
They're really good.
They-
Like Apple actually created something very cool with that, and I get shit because oh, you're an Apple fanboy. No, I rip on Apple. I think the App Store is an egregious shakedown operation that promotes disgusting, violative business models like online dating and sports gambling. I think Tim Cook's a bastard. I think they all are, but Tim Cook could destroy some really noxious. Like he should destroy Hinge and Tinder and the Match Group, and like the one company that owns all of them, because
Right.
microtransactions and dating apps are disgusting.
I've spent a
And
lot
they
of
still
money on
lose
that.
a shit ton of money. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I'm just
But all the beautiful women, I need to buy a rose. I need
this
to
is
give
why our
them a rose.
podcast, mate. It's, but in all seriousness, all of these companies, they haven't got anything new, and right now they've convinced the market they do. So your question around Sam Altman. Sam Altman, he's been around a while. He is very charming. I've known an alarming amount of reports to say, but he's so nice. It's like, if that's your excuse for covering someone. But in all seriousness, he's been around for a while. He's been a very successful investor. You look at his history, it's a little bit fucking bizarre, though. Sam Altman founded a company called Looped. Looped was dog shit. It was like a location-based thing. It didn't really have a successful product. Emmett Shear, CEO of Twitch, literally went on the record and said, I'm not sure what Loop does. I paraphrase. It was like, I don't know what Sam Altman does all day. It's really weird. Like, I took over OpenAI for like 2 days. Really, when Sam Altman got kicked out, Emmett Shear
I
got
remember,
put in.
yeah.
So he had this failing GPS startup that he sold to Green Dot, because back then you could sell anything to anyone. Complete failure of the company. Paul Graham, founder of Y Combinator, says in the New Yorker or New York Magazine, can't remember which one, that there was no one else who could take over Y Combinator. Why? Why did Paul Graham give Sam Altman half of his allocation for Stripe, a company that was obviously going to become worth so much money? The root of Sam Altman's wealth comes from Paul Graham's decision to give him half his allocation to Stripe. Anyway, Sam Altman's been around for decade plus. And he's wormed in with the media and he's wormed in with everyone. And I think he's been looking for his fucking chance. He's a good carnival barker. On top of that, this desperation time in tech meant that when ChatGPT came around, everyone went, shit, finally, something we don't make things here. What, we have engineers? No, we're only here to screw customers. That guy invented something. Let's do this. Had Sundar Pichai gone, no, this is stupid, would have died within a year. Wouldn't have been a big thing. But because everyone followed Microsoft, you got this situation where Sam Altman became the face of the industry. Every single AI article, ChatGPT. Every single one. There is no industry here. This is a PR campaign for one guy and one company. Except this company is it's a time bomb. There is no fixing OpenAI. There is nothing. Because if there was, after DeepSeek, they would have gone, we will come out with an efficient model. Instead, they went, no, we're going to make our models big and shittier.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to give you deep research.
GPT 4.5, their big thing, Orion, finally comes out. And his thing is like, good news. It's the first time, I'm paraphrasing, but this is alarmingly close to the tweet, which really, I should get hobbies. Where it's like, good news. This model is the first time it's felt like talking to a thoughtful person, just saying like, fuck my other models, I guess. Bad news. It's very computer intensive and expensive. We're bringing tens of thousands of GPUs online this week and hundreds of thousands soon. That's your response to DeepSeek?
All for a chatbot that's maybe a little bit more thoughtful.
That's also insanely expensive.
Right.
What did you think of the oh god, the guy who ran the backrooms experiments where he put two Claudes in a thing together and they just talked and they came up with a whole like religion and stuff, and fart coin was born out of it. And
if I sit there with two dice and I'll keep rolling them, they're going to come up with all sorts of different numbers, mate.
Sure.
You get 2, you get 7.
Yeah.
Some might even get 10.
Was there any part of you that found it interesting?
No.
I found it so interesting. I was like, these two.
No, it's a random number generator, mate. I'm sorry.
But just more complex, obviously.
The thing is, had these been called library models and had these been introduced, there's not a thing that has to steal from everyone. It was just an experiment.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
When ChatGPT came out, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting.
Again, it's got utility. It's just that it doesn't
Ish.
have it. Yeah, but it doesn't have it on the level.
I actually don't
where
think
it becomes
you should conflate
profitable.
utility in doing something, though. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Because it's like, but I think that this is part of the big con. They kind of say, oh, it's got utility. And it will, this is, to quote Robert Evans of Cool Zone, this is the worst it'll ever be. It's been the worst it'll ever be for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, the reason I'm so animated about it is, first of all, a lot of people have been very rude to me. I remember. They've been astronomically rude, but guess what? I'm so much ruder. Casey fucking Newton, this shit bursts, I'm going to be touchdown dancing.
Yeah, for a year.
I am going to bathe the starways in this. No, that's Thanos. But it's, people have been very rude, but also what I'm talking about, I know I sound and look and am crazy, but what I'm saying is not illogical. What I've been saying for the whole time is not illogical. Call me a cynic, a pessimist, a pig. They throw water at me when I'm outside my house. They spray me with a hose. But what I'm saying isn't crazy. What they're saying is fucking insane. What Sam Altman does is insane. We've burned $5 billion. But don't worry, we're going to burn $11 billion next year. We have no idea when we'll be profitable. This thing here, this needs 100,000 GPUs. Why? I don't know.
Right.
It's very expensive. I don't know if it'll ever get cheaper. I don't know when we'll make money. I need more money than you have right now, and next year I'll need even more than that. What is going on?
Right. I don't think you're crazy. I mean, I think it doesn't sound crazy to me. I think it's why I found it so comforting when I, found Where's Your Ed at and heard people like Jim Cavello, because I was like, okay, other people are seeing this, right? It felt like everyone else was trying to make me feel crazy. It felt like, honestly, a lot of the things were the people who would try to scare you about AI and like paint these Terminator futures for you. And I'm going, I don't know. I use the fucking thing. I don't think it's going to like.
That's these AI safety people are like, well, Dario Amodei, what a scumbag, CEO of Anthropic. He loves to go and like damply roll around and be like, well, it's going to be very scary. Give me $1 billion.
The Miri Foundation, all those guys.
Future of Life and fucking Jeff Hinton, is it Jeff Hinton? He actually like got a Nobel Prize and has like actual credentials, but his whole bit is just going, the computer's going to kill us all. I need $20,000 to tell you how.
Is this kind of just like how a few years back when crypto really had its big moment and we were getting the DAOs and all these companies suddenly talking about implementing blockchain technology? Is this just that, but on a much, 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 much bigger scale?
Similar,
of just everybody going, oh shit, in the sense that Microsoft is kind of taking the lead, whatever fucking company it was back then, everybody's just going, oh yeah, we're doing blockchain also.
It's similar, but so much bigger.
Exactly.
People mention, like IBM loved saying blockchain, for example, but the scale of the investment is just crypto. Like Microsoft had a blockchain bit of Azure that they kept in the corner. IBM had a blockchain bit. I don't even think Google played in it. And Mark Zuckerberg with the metaverse thing was like, Web3. And he was just like saying, say
Web3.
Whatever Casey Newton would write down. And he's just like, oh, it sounds completely implausible. See you for lunch. But it's different in the sense that there's more desperation around this. Before with crypto, it was like, oh, metaverse, this might be good. This will get my stock a bump. This is please, AI, make growth, please now. Please make.
Can we talk about the Ezra Klein show?
Yes,
thing real
sorry.
Quick? No.
Let's
I think
look at this.
I think this kind of lends to a bit of why it's different, and I do want to explain because I don't want to expect that everyone has maybe listened to or read the transcript.
You want to see a real shit
of this
fucking embarrassment of bitches.
So this is from the Ezra Klein show, which is a New York Times podcast. He had Ben Buchanan on, who would be described as the crypto czar under the Biden administration. The AI czar. Sorry.
Knows about as much.
And honestly, anyone should go and listen to it. It's a bit, or maybe Ed would disagree with that, but I think the last 15 minutes are the most important when he really kind of grills him about.
He doesn't grill him.
I mean,
this burger is raw.
I think so. The last 15 minutes, he really
Let's get to the grilling. Let's actually talk about the grilling. Because I want
the last 15 minutes, he really exposes, at least for me, this part of what centering labor and workers in the AI discussion means. And it's really wild to see, because he says, even in his question, he says, look, and we've had this forever. When tech is coming, you guys say stuff like, we're going to retrain people, we're going to make sure they have jobs, blah, blah, blah. So like, how can you answer that without giving me the, rote, we're going to retrain, blah, blah, blah. And he's literally like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we don't have a plan. We're going to
want to know why
people.
he has no fucking plan? You want to know? Because none of this exists. It's all a smokescreen. Labor, the people getting replaced by this are freelancers, art directors. Like, people are losing their jobs to generative AI, but not at the scale that they want it to seem like this. If Ezra Klein was not a dope, and also
Right.
look how long this fucking question.
I know the questions are extremely long.
I love asking a 600-word question so that they won't be able to answer it.
Right.
But my point is, whenever they have these conversations about labor being taken away, and by the way, I don't want that to happen. It's
Right.
fucking horrible. Generative AI is not doing that. It's doing it on some jobs, and it is taking them away, and it sucks. But it's replacing them with like slop shit that just sucks. But it's bosses that don't do real work thinking they can approximate humans, and customers hate it. But a point I'm making is, of course, Ben Buchanan didn't have an answer. One, he doesn't know a single goddamn thing that he's talking about. And two, how do you answer that question right now? It doesn't do anything that really steals this thing. And this was a point made by Darren Esamoglu of MIT. He's been on the show twice, legend, the big dog economist. He made this point where it's like, right now, this doesn't do any of the things that actually increase productivity.
Right.
This doesn't increase GDP. This isn't something that the way that these things function is not it doesn't do anything in the real world. It doesn't really approximate human actions. Wendy's has horrible trouble with their generative AI thing. And surely that should be the easiest one, because think about it. It's
Burgers.
Just taking an order and yeah.
even if you are just taking,
keywords.
I don't love the idea of replacing labor, but if we're thinking on their level, okay, theoretically, generative AI should be able to take a person speaking multimodal voice to text and say, okay, there's a limited amount of menu options. This should be really easy. Apparently it fails all the time. And it's just, that is the most basic building block of labor that they surely should be able to. Not saying I want this to happen, just like, right?
They should be able to do it.
And the reason he doesn't have an answer is you would need to know what's replacing labor to answer it.
Well,
the
so
actual question there would be, hey, do you think this can replace labor right now?
I did a bad job, actually, because I should have said that one of the most important things that Ben Buchanan says is that he believes that AGI, or something approximating AGI, he makes note of it very many times, that he does not like the term AGI, but something approximating AGI, he says, is about 2 to 3 years away from the things he's seen. And the only reason I do think that is somewhat relevant to the conversation is because a lot of times we hear this from people who are heavily invested in it, tech guys, people who are building these models, being like, I swear, bro, we're so close. If you just give us a little more data, we're gonna have AGI. So this is a government actor who's like, from what I've seen.
I'm so sorry to tell you about people that work in the government. I am so fucking sorry.
Yeah.
Go and look at Ben Buchanan's LinkedIn. Go and look at it.
Sure, the revolving door is very real.
Revolving door. What does he actually know? What is his expertise? What is the fundament? Oh, from the things I've seen. What have you seen, Benjamin?
Biden showed him some stuff.
Well, his
Jack, check out he's just got like a fridge.
It's a nice ice cream cone.
Got a soda pop.
Ben Buchanan's sort of working definition of AGI, he said in this interview, is it's basically it's going to be able to do what a human could do on a computer. Which is,
that's not a definition.
Sure.
Like, it's like, that's the thing. He's like, oh, AGI will be here in 2 to 3 years. No, it won't.
Yeah.
What are you fucking... I'm so sorry. I can't look at this with a straight face, because it's like, they're like, oh, the things I've seen. You haven't seen shit, brother. If you had, you'd be investing in it and not telling people.
Right.
I'm deadly goddamn serious. Oh, I'm scared of it. No, you're not. You're on the fucking Ezra Klein show wanking off and saying a bunch of fan fiction nonsense. An AGI, oh, it's an AGI that can do what humans can do. Humans can barely do what humans do. On top of that, what? We have this software today, and you can barely get like a picture of Garfield with boobs successfully. But this thing in 2 to 3 years is going to something. The things I've seen suggest that. What things, man? What have you seen? Why is it always, the things I've seen? I couldn't possibly tell you. Your girlfriend lives in Canada. That's where the AGI is. It's the
right.
How do you, because I understand and I appreciate what you're getting at, but what's hard for me is the governments of the world. I mean, like China's really, really gunning for this to try to, everybody's trying to win.
Right.
So
yeah,
are they all delusional?
What are
In
they
this,
winning?
they frame
What are
it-
they winning?
They frame it as this. They bring up JFK in the '60s about the space race and how we need to
Okay.
make sure.
How'd the
America-
space race go, by the way?
Well, we made it to the moon.
Well, we made it to the moon. What else?
Satellites.
We do it. Well, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we kind of ended there.
So did we stop the others launching satellites?
No.
No.
Okay, so that went great. But on top of that, that's different. That's going to space.
Mm.
That's also very different in the sense that there was a thing we were competing to do. What are we competing to do? The biggest ass that can shit the most? I don't know.
Buddy, I think I take the crown there.
Oh, I think I am a white British man.
Yeah.
The things I've seen with my ass. Blade Runner. But it's
I'll tell you what, it is very cathartic because, like, even as someone who's very skeptical, I don't know why, but it's very easy for them to scare me for some
Yes.
reason. I read it and I go, well, Ezra Klein, he's at the New York Times. It's obviously the premier place for sharing ideas and stuff. And this is Ben Buchanan. He must have done. And you go, my God, we're 2 to 3 years away.
it's genuinely
from the
irresponsible.
world as I know it.
It is. He should be fucking fired for this. It is disgraceful that he did this, and it's disgraceful that Casey Newton and Kevin Roos of the New York Times' Hard Fork podcast did the same shit, especially because Casey's boyfriend works at Anthropic. He does disclose it. Nevertheless, yes, they're trying to scare you. Yes, Ben Buchanan, what does he do now? Genuinely, what's his job? I actually don't know, but if I had to guess, he's trying to become a consultant.
I
A
am
consultant that goes to
certain he is
companies and goes, hey, you should be really scared of the computer. How? Oh, I couldn't possibly tell you. It's all the secret
Yeah,
computer, man, I know.
he talks about how the crux of the race between, if we're thinking governments, between the United States government and the Chinese government, what's going to matter the most is our respective AIs and their ability to sift through massive swaths of data and intelligence to glean from it. Like he uses the satellite imagery as an example of there's tons of satellite imagery that would take days or weeks or months or however long for humans to decipher and cull through.
We already have machine learning that did
Right.
already.
So I don't know if it's just a matter of that
Why does
getting
any
more
of this
intense.
cost NVIDIA GPUs and data centers? That's the thing. There's a complete disconnect between the narrative and the thing happening.
Yeah.
Nothing. And yes, by the way, if you're wondering, yeah, every government could be chasing their tail in the same way. Do you think Macron has any idea? What do you think Keir Starmer has any idea how this shit works? Do you think any of these people do? Microsoft only put the money into GPUs for ChatGPT because they wanted ChatGPT in Bing. And I am not kidding. This is reported. It is insane how one of the most horrible things is a bit of history for you, actually. So when I started Better Offline February 2024, I remember thinking, okay, I think I've kind of got startups worked out, right? I'll look at big tech because it's something I don't know, right? These people have strategy and planning, and they wouldn't just do a bunch of stupid shit. The more I read, the more I realize nobody has a plan at all. Not a single one of these people has a real plan. They don't have anything. They don't have shit.
They want to sell.
They want to sell something, but because they have chased all the people out of the company who build things and replaced them with management consultants and product managers and people that go, what will make us grow? That they do not know how to build things anymore. And the truth is, there may not be more growth things to build, or there may not be for a while. We may need breakthroughs in hardware that don't exist yet. It's possible. There are cool things happening in batteries alone that could be really cool. But again, not a hypergrowth market. And when I say hypergrowth, I mean that allows them to get to a $4 or $5 or $6 trillion market cap and to keep growing 15 to 20% every quarter. They are all heavily invested in this. And of course, well, governments are going, shit, no, we want them to keep building stuff here because that's spending money in our country.
And the other countries are doing it.
And the other countries are doing it. If we don't do it, we'll look like fucking idiots, won't we?
Yeah.
And if everyone looks like an idiot too, well, everyone can come to the same conclusion and say, no, let's stop this at the same time. And also, man, you've probably read quite a few places about all the countries building data centers, right? You know how long a data center takes to build? 3 to 6 years. This shit can all be cancelled. Microsoft's canceling it.
Yeah.
Right. And he's saying in 2 to 3 years, he thinks that AGI is.
If I was Ezra Klein, I would have a megaphone and I would go right up to his ear and I go, how? How How is this going to happen, Benjamin?
No, Ezra Klein seems to think that he's right. And
Yes, because Ezra Klein is a fucking moron.
he says, from everything I've seen, like, you're right, we
You-
can't stop this. It's
This man, what has Ezra Klein seen? I'm so sorry. Again, I'm getting back to the people being mad and being rude to me thing. I will be like, hey, look, this company burns billions. People are like, idiot. But Ezra Klein's like, I have seen things. What are the things? I can't tell.
he calls out that he's used. I was shocked. He calls out that he's used deep research, and it was providing him with scientific level papers that like his staff couldn't produce. And I
That's
was like,
fucking.
what?
I
the-
would kill myself if I worked for him, but
I was shocked.
I was shocked. I'm actually not shocked to hear that because he's a moron. But on top of that, I would be like, if I'm one of his researchers, I'd be like, fuck you, Ezra.
Honestly.
I would start writing just completely fake shit in there. I'd be like, yeah, dog poop is the tastiest. Like, just like, let's see what Ezra, like Ron Burgundy. But no, this motherfucker hasn't read an academic paper in his life. If you look at anything on JSTOR, just type in any word and you'll get It's just so frustrating because this is what happens when an entirely narrative-based thing takes a market.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say it's apocalyptic. It's not going to be great financial crisis level, I hope. But the entire stock market, like 30%, 35% of it is the Magnificent Seven. 19% of the Magnificent Seven is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is their entire growth story is insane. NVIDIA, on top of everything, is unsustainable because the markets are mad at them because they only grew 76% year over year because the market's got used to triple digits.
Mm-hmm.
How's that end? How's that go? How
Yeah.
does this keep going? And on top of that, why? Like, really, it's just all that's going to happen is someone's going to go, why are we doing this? This sucks. I feel icky inside now looking at this. We have end of April, we have earnings for Microsoft, Google, and Meta, I believe. What happens there? Meta's a weird one because Mark Zuckerberg can never be fired. Look at that beautiful man. It's just, I've been trying to warn people.
Yeah.
I don't even know I don't know what will happen, but I do know when this all falls down, there are no hypergrowth markets left. And at that point, I believe there will be a fundamental reevaluation of what a tech stock is worth. And I think that will be very scary for the markets and for the industry at large. I think it could actually be good long-term, specifically for making tech make shit again.
Yeah.
But we are in just a farcical era. And if this AGI bullshit happens in 2 to 3 years, I will gladly eat crow because they're going to have to do insane shit. They will have to have something that they have behind the scenes that they've shown not a single sign of. They still can't get it to stop fucking hallucinating. Like, come on.
What would it take for you? How would you define AGI, number one? And number two, what would it take for you to go, oh shit, and give me that crow?
First question I'm not going to answer because why the fuck do I have to... Sorry. That's
No, I understand. It's
just
okay.
like, why do I have to justify my... I literally
You're the
had-
one who sucks.
I know. I literally had a DM ask me exactly this the other day, and it's just like, why do I have to?
Yeah.
The answer is something that's actually autonomous and can actually do shit. That you don't have to like go, okay, I prompted it. Okay, I prompted it wrong. Okay, I'll prompt it again. Okay, it kind of works. Okay, now 17 minutes into it, I've got something that kind of sucks. I want something you press a button and it just does a bunch of shit.
I mean, from my experience, they barely have memory of the last thing. It can barely reference the last thing it spat out for you. And it's the most frustrating thing about these chatbots is because I go, if I just keep tweaking, we'll get there. But you'll say, okay, that's close. What if we did it like this? And then it shows you something completely different. And you go, what the fuck is the matter with
It's
you?
because it doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And they have there's context windows where you can dump more stuff into them, sure, whatever. But I would need it to work is actually the answer. I would need it to be like, I need you to go, I need to say to Siri, I need you to order dinner for me. I'm feeling like Chinese. I want to spend no more than $35 and I want it quicker than 20 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
They'd be
Did
like
you say
setting a reminder to kick your dog.
Yeah.
But actually, no, I would like, I want all the coverage of this client from the last 2 years. And that's all I want to say. And I want the spreadsheet that comes out to be fucking perfect. I know that sounds like a lot, but it actually isn't. It's actually in line with what everyone's claiming it can do already.
Mhm.
And it's not even slightly close. I am in a document heavy business. I am an early adopter. I love my doodads, my gizmos.
there was actually a really nice Reddit post from a guy who it would probably came out in the last month. I forget what he does in tech, but he was like, I just want to show you guys how incapable these things are of doing the things you think it can do. And basically he set out to do research with it and asked it to do all these things. And he was like, at first it looks impressive. It starts talking to you and you're like, wow, look at that. And then as soon as it starts trying to do anything somewhat technical and not even technical, I mean, he's like, as soon as it was like, great, now I'll just start using an online database. Like, let me open Google Sheets, and it can't sign in and it can't do anything. And you're like, you're just watching the thing just shit the bed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't know how to actually, form data in a way that's going to make sense to a human. And it's just really unimpressive when you get up close to it.
I've got one. Remember, and this one impressed me because this is coming from someone, I've used ChatGPT and AI shit a handful of times.
Okay.
I don't find any practical use for it. It doesn't affect me. I should use it as a stock trader for culling, I don't know, S1s.
Why should you?
I don't know, to pull pertinent summaries from earnings calls,
So
perhaps.
that right there, by the way, I know you're making a point.
Mm-hmm.
That is the narrative being used on you. That is the AI gaslighting.
Yeah.
It's making you feel bad for the thing not really doing. You're like, I should make room in my life for this thing that I would have to pay for. That's not right.
Oh, I mean, the last year, it's all Twitter threads being like, here's how I'm using AI to like make myself a ton of passive income, and you're fucking up
if
by
you're not doing it. You're an idiot.
You're a
and wasting
stupid
your
fucking
time.
moron.
And can I just be clear?
Sure.
Any industry that attracts those people should make you very suspicious.
That's
But
very true.
you were saying what impressed you.
What impressed me was there was that famous story of the AI who was tasked with something, and it came across a CAPTCHA that it had to prove you're not a robot, and it went around it by hiring a TaskRabbit and lying to the TaskRabbit person and saying, "I'm a handicapped person, and
This
I need
doesn't
you to."
sound real. I'm sorry.
You don't? Did you
I do
not hear
not
about this?
believe this sounds completely made up.
It's do you
This
remember
sounds-
this
you
one?
bringing it up. I don't.
I
I haven't engaged with it.
If this is true, by the way, I'm still unimpressed.
Yeah.
But this sounds made up just because of the TaskRabbit part.
Yeah,
TaskRabbit is not a well-designed website.
it was. Yeah, it was a person or
How the
however.
fuck-
Yeah,
OpenAI created Operator, which is allegedly meant to
Do just that.
run websites, and it can't do it.
yeah.
How did it order the TaskRabbit? Was it connected to the TaskRabbit API?
I have
How
no
was it
idea.
That's the thing. All of this stuff is just this weird narrative. It's like my mate. It's like the bit where Ralph Wiggum walks in The Simpsons and goes, "Yeah, the baby looked at me," except it's holding up our entire economy.
Yeah.
It's insane. It turns my stomach because we could have avoided the panic that's kind of happening right now. I realize some of it's Donald Trump driven, obviously, but it's also the Mag 7 way, and the Mag 7's getting crushed. The socks, it looks like shit.
Well, they had to come up with something.
They did.
They
did,
I
but
believe
they
it
could
was
have not.
you, Ed, who said our economy is dominated by people who don't do real work and don't solve real problems. So you have excuse me, I'm not doing the accent.
That's
So you
fine.
have companies selling services that are cheap enough to sell to a boss who isn't going to use them.
Mhm.
These people do not participate in reality. In other words, it's the bean counters. It's these companies have reached, so it seems, just their absolute limit in terms of what they're able to innovate and iterate on and continue to build, and they're just like, I don't know, let's make this fucking thing that we can get our salespeople to sell to this other company that their fucking vice president of vice sales something is going to be just impressed enough to buy a subscription that's going to like make their boss look happy, and it's going to make us look good that we met our sales quota for the quarter and everybody's happy, and it's just kind of this big coat.
You have successfully described how tech has made money for years. Nailed it. And then there's the other layer of they can't even sell it like that. They're not selling it. They're having real trouble because people keep being like, yeah, we were using it. It sucks. And they're like, and the companies go, well, what if it didn't? Right. When? And they're like, I was just making conversation. This is going to stay pretty bad for a while. It's got reasoning now. Great. How does that work? Oh, I can't tell you. It's more expensive too. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How do you feel about the argument that maybe that AGI is not coming, but it's more going to be these very much more limited in scope
agents?
Not even agents, LLMs that
Small little
focus.
smaller. Yeah, That's
on a very specific thing, and
that's cool.
those can be very like I can see.
But
that.
will they be profitable?
Good question. And no.
Yeah.
That is a great
They also
question.
They also will not scale. You'll get
They'll be useful for some people.
Yeah,
but
and there
they-
are startups that use specialized models connecting to distinct databases, and those exist, and they will exist. In fact, the biggest problem is that all these models are very similar, and thus they're easily commoditized. DeepSeek was trained on outputs from OpenAI. It's really funny because they were like, "Should we sue them for copyright?" And it's like, yeah, damn, someone stole from my plagiarism machine.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean,
shit, dang. Also,
Pot, meet, kettle.
good luck suing a company in China.
Oh yeah.
Like you're gonna, I'm sure they're gonna help you out there.
I think I have the perfect thing that kind of summarizes this entire thing,
Go
which
on.
is a fun bit of utility, but absolutely no real way to profit off of it. And it was someone who took a clip of our show
Mhm.
and ran us. It's really, I think it's so cool. It's so fun. Here, let's just play this clip for you. I think you'll appreciate it. One ran us through an AI that not only changes your language, but makes it look like you're speaking it. The language itself is really impressive.
Jika Taylor Swift jadi ekonomi lebih besar dari 50%.
This
it's
is
so weird seeing me speak.
It's so weird hearing it.
That's,
dude.
that's
Di
the-
Glendale,
oh, yeah.
Arizona, konser itu menghasilkan lebih banyak pendapatan daripada Super Bowl. Swift,
Dude, it's so
It's
good.
great.
My favorite one is this one, dude. Just how fast they make you talk in this one. Lalu.
Tidak, kerana itu seperti apabila orang-orang berkata, mari kita lakukan sesuatu, mereka berkata, ia hanya berlangsung 15 menit, tetapi ia terasa...
Damn, that's so natural.
It's weird to watch. I can't wrap
Fucking
my head
Scatman
around it.
style.
I like this one too. Nampak tweet Diet Coke rokok saya tak? Forgot about that. The lip thing, it gets pushed over.
It's so funny because all of that has some utility.
Yeah, it's fun, but it
But
doesn't make money.
It doesn't make money, and also, how does that scale into something you? Because
Right.
again, you get back to the library model idea that this could be like a $10 billion industry. Sure, there's probably like a $300 million startup that did just 11 labs. I guess they're worth billions now.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be.
And it's also very funny. It's always the problems they solve are always things that are kind of sad to me. You know, the great promise of tech was like, you're not going to have to do annoying things anymore. But instead, like the only thing I could think of for that, scaling it onto a bigger model is like, okay, now media companies could somehow now make sure their content is available in all across the world in different
Reddit's
languages
doing that.
seamlessly.
They're trying to.
But I'm like, that used to be a thing they would get like different actors to do, and there would be a different thing. And
But
now
this-
it's just like all we've gotten rid of is like artists and
Uh-huh.
voiceover people, and like with Sora, they're like, you'll never have to hire
But
us.
Sora looks like shit.
Yeah.
Sora looks like a dog's dinner. It's also insanely expensive. It's so funny how bad Sora is. And some fucknut on Twitter is like, check this out. And it will be a guy whose face changes 3 times as he turns, like
Yeah.
like a caveman using a laptop.
They did
And-
it in the Michael Jackson black or white video fucking 30 years ago.
Wait, did they?
Yeah, you remember the faces morphing?
Yeah,
As
but
he's
they
singing,
did
"It's
that
black,
deliberately.
It's white.
Yeah,
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they
It's
were
not a
trying to do
hallucination.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. I really do like it as well because it's very childish how it's like, check this out. And it
Yeah.
looks like shit.
Yeah.
But it's a full grown adult who makes $100 million. You're like, do I, but the tech media is like, God fucking, holy shit. Holy piss in my mouth. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah, again, if we're to apply this to the real world, sure, I can see visual effects companies and studios using this stuff to.
Why are they not using it now? Why are they not using it? That's actually that's the very basic thing. They could be using it. Why are they not using it now? It's not good enough. When will it get better? It will.
When we fork over more
It
money.
We
will.
just need more data.
But it's
Yeah.
not even. and also
More
the-
data, baby.
But
Come
what's
on.
crazy though is yes, but also they need so much more data for Sora than they will ever have. There's not enough video stuff. If you think that they need the entire internet's worth of text to train ChatGPT, how much video do you think they need to train Sora? They're literally paying people to take videos of people walking around because they do not have enough. It is an insane idea that they have no proof we'll ever get there. You can't even, I think Runway lets you slightly get some reliability between shots, but like, I don't know, if I'm making a movie, I want to make sure the guy looks the same when the camera changes.
Right.
And it's also not quicker or cheaper. It's just none of this makes any sense and it looks bad and it sucks. But because everyone's kind of agreed it's important, everyone sits there and claps for whatever they
It
do.
also
like a
kind of
toddler.
hurts that they've built this all on the back of our data, right?
Mhm.
Like all of that is, if you've engaged online or made any kind of content or anything, like that's just being fed into all these machines so they can now put a bunch of people out of work who they're like, well, just
But they're not even gonna. They've managed to put like SEO writers and copy editors and art directors out, which is really fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But they want to do more and they can't. They can't even, like, they've just done it to like people who are like making contract work. They've made people who are already kind of struggling struggle more.
right.
And they've done so for the low price of tens of billions of dollars burned for no reason for this horrendous, ugly machine. And people want it to be true so badly. And I think some of them want it to be true because they realize that they've said it was true too many times and that they can't back off. Actually, I have a counter argument. If you said this was great and important and then go, actually, I no longer believe that, I actually think that that's a brave thing to do. I think there's something courageous about saying I was wrong. And I really am not. If AGI pops up in 3 years, I'll eat shit. Like, I absolutely will. I don't care. If I'm wrong, I'll tell people while I'm wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm not, because unless there's just, if the only argument is magic, which by the way is how Sam Altman described GPT 4.5, it's a certain kind of magic. Motherfucker, this magic? Fuck you. Fucking. Anyway.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the
go
difference
ahead.
is not that stark either, which is the most like, I'm a pretty ordinary user, want to use it for some like easy research stuff.
Mhm.
But when DeepSeek came out, I got it before all the hype. I was just, someone had tweeted about it before the meltdown and everything. I was like, sure, I'll check out another thing. I was using it. I was like, feels just like any other one.
Exactly.
Doesn't feel any different to me. And for them to be like, that's our magic one. I'm like, well, I don't know what's
Yeah, that's what's confounding to me is they went, just like you said, oh, so the other one sucked then?
Yeah.
Hey, we got the good one. Hey, that one that we said was the best 3 months ago, it actually sucks ass.
Yeah.
And
this one's thoughtful.
yeah, this one's good. But yeah, I just, every time I see, it seems like, it truly feels like every other week, Sam Altman is tweeting something about some new 4.0 and then 4.5 and plus and stuff. And I'm like, what the
I do
fuck
think they've
does
done a
it
terrible
do,
job
dude?
on themselves with branding. Even as someone who was like kind of following from the beginning and subscribing, I was like, what is what? And
So
03 and
I can explain.
Mini and
I genuinely think what happened with Altman was he thought this is going to just exponentially go like this. And when it didn't, he's like, fuck, I have no idea what to do. Like, oh God, because the branding is insane.
it's confusing. Just as a user who's like
There's
not
4.0, there's
completely
03, there's
uns-
01, there's 01
Yeah.
mini, there's
and I'm like, which one do I fucking need? For
Yeah.
well, and that's the funny thing. You go to them, you're like, what do I need? And they're like, well,
Are you trying to put tits on Garfield or?
you just do that with the GPT 4.0.
Mm.
But reasoning, when it was my favorite thing where the tech media really shat their pants was when 01 came out, their reasoning model, and you watched every single writer be like, yeah, it's really good. It thinks for longer. Not one of them seemed to be able to come up with a use case because there wasn't one and there still isn't. This is the main thing. The reason DeepSeek shat everyone up is because they made a much cheaper reasoning model, and that was 01 OpenAI's like moon magic. There's like no one could possibly do reasoning. Now everyone's doing reasoning. And what's reasoning? Well, it thinks, it's not thinking. It basically runs prompts and then goes, hey, is this bullshit? Is this bullshit? Is this bullshit? Which helps for a much larger price. And then you think, wow, reasoning sounds amazing. So now what can it do? And the answer is science.
Mhm.
Science. So, and you'd think OpenAI would, I don't know, run a PR firm. If I'm launching a product, I might want to say what it does.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Sam Altman has actually done something kind of incredible, which is he's kind of revealed a big failure in the markets and in the media. In that the media does not know what they're talking about when it comes to this stuff in many
yeah,
cases.
I think a lot of them don't understand what's going on.
But on top of that, he's used the fact that for about 15 years, they'll just print whatever the fuck the tech companies want them to.
Mm.
So Altman was just like, I can say anything and I'll get news. And for a while he has, except even he has run out of news.
Right.
And it's pathetic because if things proceed as they're proceeding, people's pensions are going to be fucked. The economy is going to take a meaningful hit from this.
Yeah.
This is going to be, and then there will be a dark age in tech. It's scary.
Which lends itself to why you're kind of sounding the alarm, because I'm sure some people are going to be like, oh, this guy's just a fucking hater. It's
Yeah,
like, no, there's real world, there's absolutely people's lives, jobs,
Tens of thousands of layoffs from the tech companies,
yeah.
guaranteed. They're already
trillions of dollars on the line
and
in retirement
What
funds.
about those guys who are making $800K as like AI director or whatever? That
they
guy.
all
they're
lose their
fine.
jobs, which is very funny.
yeah.
Like all the fake McKinsey-ites doing AI bullshit. Those guys are being there sent to like the glue factory, like Boxer in Animal Farm. It's,
I do think the dark age of tech is a very real thing. Like, I mean,
We've reached a limit.
even you could tell the internet has changed for the worse. It's a much more difficult thing to use. Even just Googling was the most like recognizable thing
most
on the
obvious product.
Yes, it was the most recognizable thing on the internet. People often, so many times, their homepage, like if you started a new tab, it would go right to Google because
Right.
you're like, that's where the internet starts. I start right there. I type in what I want. And I never thought in my life that would become a cumbersome experience where I'm like, it's spitting me AI slop.
I did a whole story about this. It was my big break last year. It's called The Man Who Killed Google Search. There's a guy called Prabhagar Raghavan who hates me due to the fact that his SEO is all me now. So proud. I couldn't be happier. So Google Search in 2020, there was something called a code yellow. Code yellow happened, which it said, hey, queries are down across the board. Now, queries are when someone searches for something on Google. It's a useful metric in the sense that if queries are down, something has changed. However, it is not a good barometer of the success of Google. And indeed, there was an argument between the head of search, Ben Gomes, and the money people, Jerry Dishler, and a guy called Prabhagar Raghavan, who was the head of ads at the time. Long story short, you can go and read it. Prabhagar Raghavan pushed and pushed and pushed, so they made changes to increase the amount of times that people were searching on Google. You may think, surely changing things to make more searches happen means they made it worse. Completely fucking correct. Prabhagar Raghavan took over Google Search in June 2020. Ever since then, well, things in 2020 went bad for a lot of people, but Google Search specifically really started to take a turn.
So he basically changed it so that you had to like make more searches per like thing you were looking for.
When I say he changed it, Prabhagar was the head of it. He was the head of
Right,
ads
right.
and the revenue
Mhm.
side,
Yeah.
barking to reduce the code yellow, to have more queries, whatever,
so that they can sell more ads.
so that they could show more ads.
Mhm.
And though there is no definitive answer, and I found all of this because of the emails as part of the antitrust trial against Google. They're all out there. They're all in the article. And what it looks like they did, and I compared with like the various companies that cover search, outlets that cover search. If you look, it looks like they rolled back updates that suppress spam. So you got worse results. They also changed it so that it was harder to see ads in Google Search. And if you look at Google Search from 2020 onwards, it just gets shittier and shittier to the point that now it's just, you'll be lucky if you find a result on the first page, and it'll probably be a Reddit post. And now they have a deal with Reddit so they can feed Reddit into it. It's just so fucking sad. And it's what I call the rot economy. It's that all these companies are growth focused.
I mean, it really is sad. It's like just what you're describing. I mean, a race to the bottom just to get more eyeballs on ads.
A race to the bottom suggests that they care. All of these companies make their experiences worse to make more money. Look at Facebook. Facebook's borderline unusable.
Oh my! I know.
Look at Yelp. Every time on occasion, I'll use Yelp. I used it the other day to find a dog trainer, and it just showed like 10 sponsored results first. And as I was making my way through, I realized, oh shit, I'm not even in the actual ranked.
Yep.
The number one
You're on
or
the mafia.
yeah,
The mafia put them on the top.
I do real fast. I want to share with you guys one, and there's many out there, but it speaks to, again, it's on a much more serious level. It's like the AI doing our face and the language. It's not necessarily something that's going to make enough money over the long term to justify or make up for the tens of billions of dollars in infrastructure and research and all this shit that they've put into it. There's the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, just a few months ago, outlined how artificial intelligence is helping to transform the experiences. They had a 50% reduction in customer scam losses, aided by the implementation and use of safety and security features which use AI, including something called name check, caller check, and customer check. A 30% drop in customer reported frauds due to measures like generative AI-powered suspicious transactions alerts and AI-powered app messaging, helping to reduce call center wait times by 40%. But how much? Yeah, it's great for this company.
Only one of those things was generative AI, by the way.
Yeah, AI-powered suspicious transactions alerts.
One thing, and all the others were just AI. What that means is
it's been around.
None of this was generative AI.
Yeah.
It means one thing, and also suspicious transactions. bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You would never hand off a finance. Regardless, even in that massaged press release or whatever that is, AI, generative AI. This is the actual real. This is the thing we're talking about.
How much
But
did this bank pay for that?
also,
Probably nothing.
Also, they put it out so that their fucking shareholders are happy, think they're
Yeah.
futuristic. They actually only have Notice how they love to conflate these AI things. It's so cynical.
Yeah.
It's so cynical.
I mean, it's a Super Bowl commercial thing. Just a few years ago, it was blockchain,
Oh.
blockchain. And now it's, we're using
I'll
the
give you a
power
really
of
good
AI
Super
to
Bowl
fucking AI your AI.
Super Bowl commercial from 2024, Microsoft Copilot. It was just people typing prompts into Microsoft Copilot. One of them was, write the code for my 3D open world game. And you know what happens when you type that in? It gives you a rundown of how you build an open world game. It does not do the thing it fucking said in the fucking commercial. These people have been lying for years. And it's sickening.
I have an annoying one for Copilot. I mean, I'm still probably one of the only people who likes the Microsoft Office suite. I think.
What the fuck?
We've talked about this on the show. Don't act like
What?
you're surprised.
I can't remember. Well, my
You
brain
like
sucks.
it.
So.
I use Google Drive and for anything that's going to be
yes.
Use
shared.
Google Drive. That's a sick thing.
I use Google Drive.
What the fuck?
We use it
it's
for
just
the
easy
show.
it's just easy for
It is not
document.
easy. Google
What
Drive
should we
is like
use
an
instead?
Escher paint. Dropbox.
Dropbox for documents?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Just for docs. Just for docs.
yeah.
Sorry, that's saying Google Drive as a cloud storage thing is
No.
bonkers.
Just purely for
Okay,
doc
that's
sharing,
normal.
and then any
Sorry.
kind of all good. Any kind of thing that I'm not going to have to like share easily.
Mhm.
If I'm like doing personal taxes stuff, sure, I like Excel on my thing. I like using a Word doc. All of a sudden, it updated, and Copilot was just all over a Word document. And I was like, I don't need this. Please. And I was trying to be quick. I was trying to add something, and I just could not get into the document. And I was like, why are you fucking me?
Was it like Clippy on crack or something?
Basically, and
Gemini's doing the same
you
thing in
cannot
Google
get
Docs.
Copilot off. I just want a fucking blank Word document, and you cannot have it. You have to have Copilot.
But what if you want to create a parrot? Like,
Yeah, what if you need to
mixed with the
generate-
ice cream cone?
What if you need to generate of the paragraph
yeah.
stuff?
What if you want to put tits on the paragraph?
Yeah, what if you need a big boob paragraph?
Yeah, dude.
But that's the thing, though. What you're experiencing there is why I think this is calamitous as well, because consumers fucking hate this shit too.
Yeah.
No, you don't get anyone who's walking around being like, God damn, like you get perverts on Twitter being like, I love AI.
Yeah.
But like regular people, like, I don't know what this is. I used it to write a limerick, or I actively despise this intrusion into my life.
Yeah.
Which is insane. It's just contempt from the tech industry for the customer. And I think the tech industry has turned on the customer completely because they've been able to make so much money making things worse. And eventually the tide will turn.
It feels like a let
But
them
I'm
eat
worried
a
that-
digital let them eat cake kind of thing, where
Yeah.
they've become so out of touch with what regular people want and need and are actually I mean, I understand there's a bit of like people don't know what they want. We're going to give it to them. Like they wouldn't have known to ask for
Steve
the
Jobs like 18 years ago.
Sure, but at this point it's like I don't need the thing. Nobody I know. I know
Mhm.
at least 5 people and none of them use Genmoji. Like it's such a
yeah.
I
fucking
feel like if a friend
not
sent
even
me
my
a
mom
Genmoji-
uses it.
If I got a Genmoji from someone, it would be like they sent me a picture of their asshole. I'd be
Yeah.
more open to the asshole
Yeah.
picture.
It would definitely be you're one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like learning someone's a fan of Disturbed.
My worry is that the internet is we're not we're not going back. Like no one seems to care, right? For example, like even things that we kind of used, Instagram, for example,
Right.
they've been making it worse and worse, and consumers complain, and we just continue to log on Twitter, great example.
We'll
They make
keep
it worse and
drinking that
worse.
garbage.
Yeah, we log on
Me
every
and
day.
Diet Coke.
Hey,
Well, we log on every day and we go, this product's fucking worse. And they go, we don't care. I mean, my mind was blown when we talked about Shrimp Jesus way long ago. We were like, what the fuck
we
is
were the
going
first.
on over
Surely, and then it was like months ago.
What's
months
going
later.
on over at Facebook? And then I was shocked to see Mark Zuckerberg come on video and say, I love it. I
This is gonna
love
get worse.
that we're
He
like,
looks like a clown without his
I think
makeup.
it's pretty cool
I
that
mean,
the computers are
that's-
talking to
But
themselves.
I
and-
actually have a pushback on this. So when I started the show, February 2024, and I was saying these things, people were like, you're just complaining. It's only fairly recent that people have realized they're the frog in the pot. They've realized, wow, everything has got worse. Why is this like this? And the answer is growth. It is the desperation for growth. It's the fact that these companies all want growth all the time, and it manifests as everything being shittier and more broken and more. But I think people are waking up to it. I think people see it. And I think what they have to realize is, and ironically, this is a prediction from Shingy. I think people are just going to stop using these things. I think that the more likely thing is people are just going to go, wow, Twitter is just like every response is either AI generated or someone
Pussy in
writing the
bio.
14 words.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, I'll go on Blue Sky. If they don't like Blue Sky, what they're going to do? Use Facebook. Great. I'm going to find my friends between the 18 sponsored posts and the different shell games that Meta is playing to get me to have one more advertising impression.
Yeah.
I have a fun fact about Ryan Barwick over at Marketing wrote a piece last year about how Facebook advertising managers, the people that put money into Facebook ads for their clients, are losing money, and that Facebook, you'll be like, I'll put $1,000 in it, go across a week, and it spends it in a day. And Facebook's just like, yeah, that'll fucking happen. What are you going to do? Advertise on the other meta? It is a mob-like operation. At some point, this has to break. There are so many things that are so shaky about all of this stuff. And you can dismiss me as a cynic, dismiss me as a critic, whatever. But if you look at what's happening, you've got all of the beloved apps becoming worse, all these companies making more money than ever, and then they're taking all that money and putting it into this unsustainable, unprofitable, ecologically destructive thing that no one wants. How does this end well? How does this turn into AGI? How does any of this work? Do you even think that if they made AGI, which they will not do, that they'd make it useful? Do you think that they'd, I don't know, release it to the public? Fuck no, they'd use it internally. They don't have shit. They can't make Google search work anymore. They couldn't find a way to make Google search profitable and good. They couldn't make Facebook usable and profitable. They can't even run their companies well. What the fuck are we meant to do with this supposed magical intelligence?
Well, I think that's kind of the problem too, right? So like all these companies, at least for a while, they were good at getting everyone's attention.
Mhm.
But then once they had that attention, they were like, well, how do we make money off of that? And they were like, I guess we just ruined the thing that people like
They
with
did really
ads.
well for a while, though. There was a period, like, I'd say up until about 2014, 2015, where things were fine. They weren't, like, nothing was ever perfect. There were problems with Facebook, but it was before they really turned the screw in the butthole.
Back when
Right.
people were putting filters on their photos on Instagram. And it wasn't cringy. It was like, look, I made it look like an old picture.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
No, and that was like, and they were making bank. They were making billions of dollars, but these motherfuckers needed to grow.
Not good enough.
It's
was
wild to
not
look
good
back
enough. Yeah.
at Facebook. I think about this every once in a while, how I believe it was 2013. The Facebook, when Facebook IPO'd, the big controversy, as you I'm sure remember, was we haven't quite figured out how to monetize our app, which in hindsight is fucking bananas. It
was mobile. It was, they hadn't worked out how to monetize
It was
mobile.
zero. They had $0 in mobile
They
ad
didn't have
revenue.
$0 even. That was the thing. I remember at the time not knowing anything. I was a dipshit back then. Don't know why I am now. But if you read back then, it was people saying there's not enough revenue in mobile. They haven't worked this out. It's insane that, like, you can say that Facebook got treated unfairly, but they did. And then
they turned on the spigot and it was off to the races.
They proved themselves to the market. And Sheryl Sandberg, CEO, she was the COO. She's a McKinsey. She's McKinsey. They're everywhere, these MBA pricks. The growth team, the original growth team at Facebook, Javier Olivan, Naomi Glay, Alex Schultz, and Javier Olivan, don't know if I said him yet. All those people were picked by Sheryl Sandberg and Chamath and to lead the growth team. Those people run Facebook. Oh, you want to know? Here's a fun story about Facebook for you. Should tell you everything now. 2017, a guy called Andrew Bosworth puts out a letter internally at Facebook called The Ugly. And one of the things he said, and I'm paraphrasing very lightly, it's quite close to this. He says that a terror attack could be carried out on Facebook, or someone could be bullied, and it's all things are justified under growth. You would think saying something like this, and it got out to the press, people like Alex Kantrowitz over at BuzzFeed News reported it, you'd think a guy like this would be fired or disciplined somehow. He is currently the chief technology officer at Meta. That's what this company rewards. That's what these companies are built on. These are the people running the tech industry. These are the people who are making the decisions.
That shape our lives, that shape the culture, that shape the direction that we're heading in.
And horrifying right-wing machines growing. Meta is responsible for what we see today. Everything. There are other participants, sure, but Meta was the driving force of the conservative movement, and it goes back years, and it's disgraceful that Mark Zuckerberg's gotten away with it. Fucking scumbag.
Not only got away with it, he's going to remasculinify the
He is
workplace.
the least masculine man I've ever seen.
I don't know, man. He does BJJ now.
Yeah. if we
Does
get him,
he?
And he wears looser shirts
Yeah,
and
he
a
dressed
chain.
like Kevin Federline.
Yeah. Wow. That's. I wonder what happened to him.
well, maybe we leave it off on a positive note because
Yeah,
we were talking
Kevin
about
Federline.
Kevin Federline.
Help us out.
I do like your point that it does seem like people are pushing back against
Yeah.
this, and there is a real desire for something else. I think I don't know where that comes from, but do you have any more like optimism for that? Like, is there some place where tech could go in the right direction for people to?
There's a shit ton of cool stuff happening in batteries and silicon. It's, I mean, I like Anker. Anker's a cool company. They make cool little battery packs. And gallium nitride.
I have a couple Ankers.
Gallium nitride, I forget what it is. I always mention this one because I love it so much. It's like they found a way to fit more power in a smaller place. Like the batteries can power your phone super fast and they're tiny and they've got a cable in it.
It's not
That's
a
cool.
Novix. Have you heard of a Novix?
No.
Oh, I think they're probably a scam.
Well, GaN is like a very real thing though. That's cool. There's a shit ton of stuff going on in batteries that could truly change things. Eventually 5G is going to do the thing it would say. I believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know as far as social networks go. I have faith in Blue Sky. I really like Blue Sky. And also remember, despite the fact that Instagram is the only game in town, TikTok came along and they had a shit ton of money plunged into them, but they took a meaningful market share away. I also think that at some point someone's going to go, wouldn't it be a good business if Instagram was 80% less shitty? And someone will do that and put a shit ton of money into it and just fucking brute force it. You would think that one of the big tech companies with all the money that they have that they can clearly put into data centers would just go, what if we made a good Instagram and we used our marketing arm to push this on people? And people went, wow, this is exactly what I used to like about Instagram, except I no longer get interrupted by the most annoying advertisements possible. And I can see all the people's shit I want to see in chronological order. Wow, wouldn't that be good? At some point, this will happen. At some point, I actually think after the reckoning happens, this is more likely than people realize. Blue Sky is genuinely cutting into Twitter is dying.
I have to eat some crow about Blue Sky, and I don't mind owning up. I went over there, and I did not like what I saw. I was like, oh, the vibes are bad over here, and I said it on the show. I was
What
like,
year?
the vibes were off. What?
What year?
Recently. But what I realized was I barely gave it a chance. And without it knowing, I think I was having a reaction to a thing not having an algorithm for me and just feeding me stuff. And I was like, what is going on over here? I stuck with it because I saw some commenters being like, it's great. I don't know why you had the experience. I followed a bunch of people, followed you on there. It was like, and then all of a sudden I started using it more and it knew me more. And I was like, wow, this is actually a pretty enjoyable experience. It felt like Twitter before, where it was a curated feed that I liked. Twitter, I mean, I've become so. I used to really like it. I thought it was a great tool. I thought it was great. It now
my whole growth came from that. Like,
yeah, it now gives me just an anxiety.
Yeah.
Like
14 words.
It shows me stuff I have no interest
it
in.
feels like they made a part of the internet that feels like a bad part of town.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah. Wow, yeah.
Like you could be safe. You should be fine. Maybe there's a shop you want to go to. You don't want to hang around.
Yeah, and it's somehow still so addictive of just like, what's going to piss me off now or make me scared?
I do want to own up and say that Blue Sky has been a nice respite from that. And because it's a tool to me, you know what I mean? We do the show. It's a great way to like cull information and see what people are talking about. It's been more useful. People are like, hey, I wrote this article, and I'm like, great, I can go right into there instead of people being like, so I mean, there is hope that someone can go like.
Blue Sky is relatively amateur as far as when it started. Like, it's way more respectable now, but kind of thrown together in some cases. Like, Jay's very good and the team's very good.
I wish it had bookmarks. I
wish it did too, and that feels like something they'll do. Like group DMs as well. But what I'm saying is, if Blue Sky can happen, there can be another Instagram.
Yeah, it is a real hopeful thing.
And consumers are getting pissed off. Like I said, when I started the show, I got emails from people saying, you're just mad at everything. Now people are like, I thought I was the only one, which is super cool. I love receiving that. It also sounds like something I'd make up, but I swear I'm not. But it also feels like society is more open to this. So I'm allegedly going to be in New York next week. Like, it's going to be a huge thing. Like, the shit I am saying is being quoted in publications that a year ago would have been like, tech industry is actually full of beautiful boys that we love.
Yes.
How dare you speak of our damp, beautiful boys and their beautiful computers? And now people are saying, maybe everything does it.
Yeah.
And what I think it is everything kind of sucks. Like every app fucking
Yeah,
stinks.
and
Every
really-
app's messing with you.
You need consumers who are going, hey, we fucking deserve more than this. We deserve better
But
than
it's one
this.
other thing. Sorry,
It's okay.
but just, it is, I have tinnitus. My ears ring all the time. Because they ring all the time, I don't think about it. Like I hear it now because I think about it. I believe that tech has become digital tinnitus. That everything kind of sucks. Every app's manipulating us. Everything is growth hacked. So we use it more in the way they want us to the point that we're all kind of numb to it. But I think that they've pushed too hard. I think they finally made people go, wait, what the fuck? And I think as that happens, users are going to stop using it. That is what's going to scare the shit out of them. And then you'll think, well, they'll fix their services. How? They fired all the people that made good stuff.
Right.
They only have growth hogs now.
Face app is still good.
FaceApp,
I love
one of the
FaceApp.
original AI.
I love
scares.
that.
No,
Man, dude.
FaceApp was so funny when it
It's
came out.
so fun.
And everyone's like, it's sending data to Russia.
I don't care. They
No,
can have my face.
Well, no, my favorite thing with that though was they were like, it's sharing analytics about each user with
Yeah.
the holding company. It's like, we only do that with American companies.
Right. I mean, that's always the biggest. When DeepSeek came out, it was like, oh, have fun with the Chinese Communist Party having all your
yeah,
data. And it's
ask
like,
it
instead
about
of the-
Tiananmen Square.
the
That was
crazy-
the fa-
Oh my.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Checkmate. But yeah,
Right.
I wish that FaceApp still did the race swapping. I think that was a
That's
shame.
Race app.
Yeah, or was it race app?
No, I'm
oh,
kidding.
damn.
By far my favorite tweet about like the China thing was there was just some medicine that they discovered or whatever, and it was the headline of like, Chinese discover some cure for whatever, and someone just retweeted it and was like, yeah, but can this medicine tell you what about Tiananmen Square?
That's great.
QED.
Well, Ed, what do you want to plug? Say whatever you want.
Betteroffline.com. Just go there. It's got all my shit. Follow me on Blue Sky at edzitron.com. I have like 140,000 followers on there now.
I know you're
And I
crushing it on
can't
there.
quote people anymore if I slightly disagree with them because like 1,100 pigs will be like, you piece of shit. I will fucking kill. I will kill. Like, I will murder. And it's like, okay. Like I made a comment earlier
You
about.
got the Ed Army.
Yeah, it's great, but also scary. I made a comment earlier. I quote tweeted this journalist called Karen Attila, I think her name is. And she's like, was talking about how men didn't like the fact that she's muscular. And I quote saying, yeah, there are men who are probably like, they're scared of a woman who could crush them up into a cube like a car in a garbage dump. I then get like 30 perverts. And I was not thinking sexually. I was not. And they just be like, yeah, I'd actually love that. I'm like, fucking hell. I can't say anything without you hogs.
Yeah, you can't discount how many perverts are on the internet.
And using the point emoji, which is the best emoji. Just use, if you ever
Oh,
seen.
I love the point.
No,
yes.
it's.
I love
my
it.
friends Caleb Wilson and Arif Hasan, who I do a football podcast with called 60-Minute Drill. But not doing, the season's over. I do an NFL podcast. It's so horrible. But it's
Wait, football.
American.
NFL.
Oh, okay.
Geno Smith, baby Raider.
So how British are you? Or
I'm extremely British.
I mean,
Okay,
you can't
okay.
tell by.
well, I'm just like
I'm very fucking annoying. I know baseball. I know football.
Hell yeah.
I do not like soccer.
Oh, this is incredible.
moved
Okay.
away.
He's got a shirt from Kentucky on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got one of my favorite defunct baseball teams. I love baseball so much.
I love baseball too.
But yeah, anyway, very long answer is betteroffline.com. So
Okay.
Great.
If
This
we
has
if
been,
we when this comes out, should we tag you on Blue Sky or
Yeah.
something?
Absolutely.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll post it on Blue Sky.
Oh yeah, my boy. I gotta get on Blue Sky then. I guess I do.
But thank you so much for coming
My
coming
pleasure.
on.
Thank you.
I feel much more calm about Ezra Klein and Ben Buchanan trying to freak me out.
I
This
feel
is-
less calm than ever about it.
I'll be able to sleep better tonight. So thank you, Ed, for coming on. This has been
My
great.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up on this week's episode of Ben and Emil Show.com.
I guess, but I really gotta.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
Now that is a great use of AI.
You think so?
Yeah, I always loved that in movie trailers when they do that, where they just totally chop up different sentences to make, and they just act like it's totally normal, and we accept it like it's normal. We have to get out of the White House. No! It's just, it's funny. It's one huge photo of a guy like in the middle of a tango dance pose with his wife, and he's clearly like in his 60s, and it says like, "Thanks for letting me dance the tango again." And there's one
Wow.
some pitcher for the Detroit
Yankees.
Tigers he gave him a whole like his uniform and like a thing and was thanking
I couldn't
him.
throw a single pitch before I went to the
Yeah,
doctor.
because my heart was full of Orbeez. There's some other doctor in LA who's just putting Orbeez. Yeah, I'm going to prescribe you 50 milligrams of Orbeez. Have
it's
you
a
seen-
racket. They're in
Yeah.
cahoots.
Yeah.
And then this guy's like, I can get the Orbeez out of your heart.